Well, it sounds like the title of a nature film, but the living shoreline is actually an innovative approach to erosion control for waterfront property owners. And 10 on your side's Art Kahn traveled to Gloucester, where one of the first landowners in that region is working to establish a living shoreline with oyster shells. Art's here now in the studio with more on this ambitious project, Art.
Good evening, Tom and Alvita. You know, living shorelines ultimately become restored shorelines, altered by man to protect them from erosion, while at the same time creating a natural habitat for fish, birds, and other wildlife. The concept has been used successfully in Florida and Maryland, but it's just beginning to gain popularity in Hampton Roads.
Got it all down.
One bag at a time, volunteers from the USS Truman are moving almost 2,000 bags of oyster shells into Sarah Creek. Although the oyster bags will provide a home for baby oysters, the primary goal of this project is to prevent further erosion from the creek bank.
We're using a shell bag, oyster shell bag berm offshore, and then he will backfill with sand and then plant marsh plants in the sand.
He is the man who owns this property. Charles Hogg wanted to do more than just prevent erosion of his waterfront property. He wanted to protect Sarah Creek and the surrounding ecosystem.
When we create a living shoreline and put sand behind the oyster bag sill, we're going to have more habitat area for the herons, the blue crabs, all kinds of wildlife.
Unlike traditional erosion control measures, such as granite barriers and bulkheads that create a hardened shoreline.
Meaning when it rains or you have lots of runoff, it enters the river or the surrounding water much more quickly.
A living shoreline produces a natural filter against pollutants.
We're also going to wash all the water that comes off the ground before it hits the creek through all the sand and through the oyster shells. And just the mere fact that each oyster shell will filter 50 gallons of water a day is in itself a huge benefit.
And living shorelines have proven to be effective at controlling erosion in other states.
It really is a win-win, and the fact that you can actually marry shoreline protection and increase habitat value at the same time is just a wonderful thing.
Living shorelines are best suited for what's known as a low energy area, areas that do not have a lot of large boat traffic or heavy wave action. It is a labor intensive project, as you saw, but the cost, I'm told, is fairly comparable to building a bulkhead or granite riprap, and in some cases might even be cheaper. Now, if you'd like more information on creating a living shoreline, go to wavy.com and click on the link.